So the routing module has two distinctly separate functions. It has the multi-track buses and the stereo bus, which are used for going to recorders or to personal cue. It also has the aux sends. You have 4 mono aux sends, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all with pre and post. And you have a stereo aux send 5 and 6. Now this stereo aux send also has the ability to go onto the multi-track buses. There's the thing called 5-6 to multi. So that lifts it from this 5-6 bus, and then it assigns it to whatever buses you have above. This is used for parallel compression or aux sends or additional feeds to remote trucks or whatever you want to do with it. The stereo panner always works on the stereo bus. This is the stereo bus here. And if you want to pan between odd and even buses in the multi-track, then you press this multi-pan, and then this panner is also working on the multi-track buses. So with the input section, all of the signals on this console go from top to bottom, starting with the input section. The first knob here is the gain control, which adjusts the gain for either mic or line in 5 dB steps. Then you select whether it's mic or line with this button. This is a 20 dB pad in the mic mode only. Here's plus 48 for phantom power and 180-degree phase change, which works in mic and line. So the second element in the input module is the high-pass filter. High-pass filter has a click stop out, and it goes from 10 Hertz to 200 Hertz, 12 dB per octave. That's the tool for removing rubbish from your digital recordings. Next element is a compressor. This puts the compressor in. It's very simple to use. Typically, you would just put the compressor in, put the release at auto, threshold at about 12, and the output at about 12, and that would suffice for almost anything that you're doing very transparently. If you want to get very aggressive with it, you would take it out of the auto release and put in the fast attack, and you would change the ratio from compressed, which is 4:1, to 16:1. That would make it very aggressive. Now, it also has the ability to link to whatever its module to the left is. So if you wanted to link to, say, this module, you could stereo link by putting these two together, this one, and now they're now stereo linking. You could also go one more channel, and those 3 would be linking. The next thing in the chain is the low-pass filter. It is a 20 kilohertz filter at 6 dB per octave. Then we have a 4-band EQ. The high and the low in the EQ are Box&Dahl shelving equalizers. The mid-range are peaking with inductors. All of the bands have 5 tuned frequency points and an out position. Also at the bottom, of course, there is a EQ in and bypass, and next to that is the insert button for the channel. And finally, we have the faders. This is a regular 100 millimeter linear fader where we have mute buttons and solo buttons, and we also have the indications for what we call the one-button recording, and I'll demonstrate that. The one-button recording turns on these, which are the selectors which select insert return to direct and monitor to fader. The master section has a pair of stereo meters and 8 meters to show the input levels to the returns. Most consoles only have a limited number of return inputs, and then they don't go very far. They might go to the stereo or the cue or a couple of places. In this case, we have 8 full returns, all of which go to everywhere that the input modules can go. We have cut, solo, 4 auxes with pre and post, 5-6 with pre and post, 5-6 to multi, 8 multi-track buses, stereo, all the features that are in the input module. In addition to all the other inputs that are on this console, there's a regular 8-input stereo mixer. This is used for stereo stems being summed into mono or just additional inputs. Very useful tool. It has level, pan, cut, and solo. The master section has 4 distinctly separate functions. We have the setup buttons for the solos and mutes and speaker selects. We have the audio in the middle, and we have some other selectors for meters and things on the right. On the left-hand side, the first 3 buttons select whether you're using main monitors, alternate on, or alternate to. There's some other things for some alternate inputs on the multi-channels. There's the Go Figure button, which is used for setting assignments for clearing solos and clear cuts, little complicated things like that. And there's also Destructive Solo. We have the auto mute master and master talkback to studio and cue. The second important function of the master section is the control of the audio to the control room, the studio, and the cue system. This is where you can select the stereo bus, 2 tracks, aux machines, whatever you want. And also in the control room you have studio listen, and in the cue and studio you have follow control room. And the fourth function of the master section are the level controls. Control room, studio, cue. You have individual levels for studio talkback and cue talkback. We also have talk over for studio and cue, which allows you to determine the level of the program that's going into those monitors while you're talking over it. We have meter brightness, which dims the meters like you're on your dashboard. We have the dim level for when you touch talkback or hit dim in the studio. And this is the level for the studio listen microphone.